remember before MMOs, my like hyper fixation was Pokemon TCG, and I didn't even really play the game. I would like play it a little bit, but I had to like group up at the like cafeteria with the kids who were like diehard into the TCG, so it was always like really intimidating. It's like being the only girl and you're playing with a bunch of boys who are a lot older and are like super diehard for the TCG. I don't know if this is like still a thing, but when I was younger, it was very much that girls don't play video games meme. Like after a while, that like dies out. Guys don't care. I remember one of them literally pulled me aside. He took me to the library and he sat me down at a table and he gave me like a pop quiz on Pokemon to like prove that I really actually played Pokemon. And he was like,
how long does it take you to complete the average Pokemon game? Our mainline Pokemon game?
And I was like, I don't know. I just like, do you want to see like my playtime? I don't like rush through the game. Like, do you want to see the amount of playtime I have on my DS? And he was like,
it takes me 4 hours from the moment I open up my Game Boy or my DS or whatever it only takes me 4 hours to complete the entire game.
And I'm like, I don't know, it takes me like 2 days, I think, to like beat the main story. And I don't know, dude. I don't know. I was so like annoyed and felt so self-conscious. And then he was like,
okay, what's Pokemon number 36 from the original Pokedex? That's the international deck.
And I'm like, what? I don't know. Number 36? Persian? I don't know. It was like,
what Pokemon can you capture on Route 4 of Pokemon Ruby version?
And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. I'm a fake fan, I guess. I don't know. Number 36 is Agumon, you fool. It was, yeah. It was my first experience with gatekeeping. And I gotta say, I have never seen any gatekeeping as comically intense as that ever again. Never. Because I remember like the older I got, I would like keep trying to like join in on like the nerdier groups, right? The video game lovers. And a lot of the time, they're pretty normie, right? It's like they're excited for X new big game that's coming out, right? But it's pretty easy to like curb stomp the average, like a generic video game fan in trivia and experience. Like that one kid, man, like that group in general was just like in turbo gatekeeping, like turbo in like holy. I don't know like what was up with that group. In the 3rd grade, I made a group of friends who were into Pokemon. They were like super into Pokemon, and I wasn't the only girl in the group. It was me, another girl, and then 2 other boys. We were just like losing our mind over like Pokemon channel. Man, it was so chill. It was so fucking chill. It was like, so what was the news on Pokemon channel today? And I was like, Jigglypuff fell down the hill or some we made like our own like Pokemon newspaper. And it was just like all pretend. Friend A saw a new pack of Pokemon TCG cards at the Walmart. Yeah, and she pulled a fucking Delta species Jolteon. Incredible. Gatekeeper boy was either 6th or 7th grade. Yeah, there was an 8th grader. There was an 8th grader, and he was like the grown-up of the group. And he was so chill. Didn't really say pretty much anything, and was very easy to like trade Pokemon cards with. That kid that fucking gate kept me, he showed me his binder of Pokemon cards. And he had like a full page of Blaine cards. I don't know if he had all of them, but he had like a full page of them, right? So that's 9 cards. That's at least like 9 Blaine cards. So did you steal the binder? So he was a piece of shit. Like, we got into fist fights on the bus and stuff. He pissed me off so bad. Right? This is after he gatekept me. Him gatekeeping me was like our first interaction. Okay? This was like beginning of the school year. So it had to have been like 6th grade. It had to have been 6th grade because that was the first year I was at that school. Eventually, like, we were on the same bus route. And we both always wanted to sit like towards the front of the bus. Right? I liked the front of the bus because it was less loud. I don't know why he always wanted to sit at the front of the bus, but I never wanted to share a seat. So I would pick one of the first 2 seats if I could. And it was always a competition. It was always a fucking competition to try and get one of the first 2 seats. Like, I would like run. I would fucking run to my locker, then to the bus to try and get there as fast as fucking possible. And he pretty much always got there before me. I was debuffed. I had a fucked up schedule. I'm like getting competitive about this, but I was like debuffed, chat. My class schedule was fucked up because I was in the advanced band classes. God, that sounds so fucking geeky. But I was in higher level band classes for my grade. So my class schedule was fucked around with. I had to get shoved into like some of the higher like grade classes that the dumb kids were in. I was in like my grade level math, but I'd be in like the home economics class for the dumb 7th graders, you know, like the ones that like needed like the extra help and so my classes would be at like the complete other end of the building. I would go to my bus, right? And he would always be there. It was so annoying. It was literally so annoying. One time he got up to go do something. He went to go like talk to some other kid like towards the back of the bus or whatever. And I picked up his backpack and I just like threw it a couple seats away, right? So I could take the front seat in front of the door. And he came back seething. He came back so mad and he like slams his backpack down. And I'm like pushing on his backpack to get him like away. And he's like,
"This is my seat. I sat here first."
And I was like, well, nobody was sitting in it. And he's getting so mad. And I don't remember who throws the first punch, but I started wailing on him. And I took my backpack and I fucking like slammed it into his head multiple times. And I was like the book kid, right? I always carried like 6 books in my backpack because I always had to be prepared. I was always renting out the maximum amount of books from the library because at this point we lived out in the fucking boonies and we didn't have television and all I had were my books and my video games. And I did not often get new video games. So books were like my go-to pastime. So like I'm fighting this kid, man. I'm fighting this kid. And he starts crying. And eventually I get kicked out of the front seat. The driver's like, you gotta sit, you gotta move. And he's like crying. It was so fucking funny. I know that's terrible, but we were kids. So I remember I like sat behind him and I remember like sitting up I stood up and I like leaned over the front of the seat and I'm like looking down at him. And he's like burying his face in his arms. And I'm just like, oh, are you crying? I remember watching movies that had dodgeball scenes in them, like high school movies and that had like dodgeball scenes, and all the jocks would gang up on the nerds, and I was like, this is so unrealistic. The jocks are always so nice. What do you mean? This is so unrealistic. And then I remember I got older and I was right. It wasn't the jocks that would do it. It was just like the fucking shitty abused at home kids that would gang up on, again, like on the nerds because they were weaker. The jocks were fine. The jocks had to be nice. Otherwise they would get grounded from football. It was always like Jimothy, whose dad has been to jail 10 times in the past month for DUIs. And he's taking out his frustrations at home on you. The mean girls in school were also not as much like the prettier girl, like the pretty popular girls, right? The pretty popular girls, they're usually popular because they were nice to everybody. The mean girls were like the fucking emo wannabe, the like, I don't know how to like describe. It was like the girls who were like super obsessed with pop culture. It wasn't the popular girls. It was the girls obsessed with pop culture. I was the I'm sitting alone trying to read my book, and the girl beside me is quizzing me on who my favorite character is in whatever the current f***ing popular TV show is, and I'm like, I don't know, and she's calling me a retard. What's your favorite character from Degrassi? I don't know, I don't watch Degrassi. Oh, yeah, you wouldn't, would you? I cut myself. And you're just sitting there like, okay. You do that. Go for it. Alright. They're all Vtubers now. Oh god. I wonder. Listen, it's wild that the chicks that used to make fun of video games became E-thots pretending to be into games on Twitch. I do remember that. That actually made me mad. Oh, that actually pissed me off, man. I remember when Pokemon hit like mainstream and all these girls, like family members and who previously had said Pokemon is stupid and Pokemon is for babies. Now they're wearing Pikachu hoodies. Always with the fucking Pikachu hoodie. Pikachu hoodies trigger me so much, chat. It was always the girls in these Pikachu hoodies. These ones. They're like this. But like for adults. I don't know. Maybe they sold them at like Hot Topic or something. But I just remember anytime I saw a girl wearing like this, I was like, oh yeah, I know you're gonna be a fucking insufferable. I know you're not gonna know jack about Pokemon, and you're gonna tell me all about how you love Eevee because you don't know any other Pokemon. You think Leah was a mean girl too? I have no idea. I know I was mean. I know I had such a chip on my shoulder when I was younger about being when I was younger, man, it was like this cycle, right? Of like, I would go into school and I'd be really excited to make friends. And I moved schools quite a bit. So I had a lot of opportunities to try over and over. And like establish a new me, you know, new year, new me, new school, new me. My optimism would remain intact for like a week. And then like, whatever group of kids I was managing to hang around with for the first week, I would discover they were like insufferable assholes. I didn't have the patience to like put up with other people being annoying, even though I was annoying. I'd get along with people for like a week, man. Like a week. And then I'd start to like self-isolate a bit. And then somebody would say something really stupid and I'd call them out on being stupid. And it would like destroy my ability to like remain with a group. You know what I mean? I don't know like the psychology behind why like I did what I did, but it'd be like, this person is the leader. Well, I need to understand why they're the leader of the group. I always had to fucking challenge authority.